Scalpel. Thank you. Hope I get this right. I haven't slept in days. Oh no! Oh no!
I heard you can throw the football really well, Commish.
I can throw the football just as well as I like my rubs. Watch this. What? Objection, Your Honor. He's badgering the witness.
Sustained.
All right, so just finish off this next line of billion lines of code, and I'll have those guys betting all their money. There's no way they're gonna win at fantasy anymore, all this, betting. Anyways, I'm gonna call my bro. I gotta see what's happening. Hello? Hey bro, what's poppin'? Dak still making you wet dream? Baby, it's all good, bro. Oh, I got mustard on my favorite shirt. You know what, bro? I don't even know who to set up all this week in my lineup. Well, if you go this linebacker from Washington, they're paying a run-first offense, so that linebacker is guaranteed to get a bunch of volume, and that's how you will win this one. You the best, man. How the hell do you know all this? You see any women around, bro? Good point, my brother. Good point. You know what? Thanks for all you did for this. There's no way I could ever win without you. I know this. Hey everyone, guess who's back? It's the Commish. Back here with another draft preview, and this time we got another team out of the American division, a stranger in a foreign land. It's Hayden and Ramrods. And Canadians being advised not even to cross the border, and here you are in their division. But anyways, I want to say one thing about you, Hayden. I would say you and Justin, who's in tier 2, Bishop 59, I think is his handle, have probably been the best 2 new owners I've ever invited to this format. And not only it's because you guys are both good owners, yourselves personally, but you've brought me a lot of high quality owners. So I just want to say thank you for that. In the short time that you've been here, you've also been able to even provide support and commentary from tier 2 when things are going on. So I just want to say thank you, and I'm really excited to have you in the league. Now, when we get into your preview, though, it might be a little bit different. So let's just get into it. And, some of this isn't a fault of your own, and we're going to talk about it in your storylines where I think you are as a team. And we'll talk about other teams that have actually been in that scenario as well, just so that you can understand it a little bit better. So anyways, let's get into it. Hayden, Ramrods. So keepers, yeah. So last year I traded you ETN right before the league started, and I thought it was a decent trade for you. At the time, it looked like ETN was going to be another, force in terms of fantasy and a running back hole, and it just didn't turn out that way, right? The good news is he is in a contract year. So why would I say that's good news? Let's face it, you're in a contract year, you have to ball out. You're going to do whatever it takes to try to get paid for the following year. So I do feel ETN's going to bounce back a little bit this year. I don't think he's going to bounce back to say top 10 running back numbers. Could be wrong. But I do think he bounces back a little bit. And I think that's good news because you do have Aaron Jones. You made the trade last year, or well, actually, yeah, this past year to try to survive. And we'll talk about that in the storylines a little bit. But Aaron Jones cost you Ashton Gianti. That's the sad part about it. But at the same time, would you have finished first in consolation if you didn't have Aaron Jones? That's the thing, right? The one thing is there was a critical game in the season between me and you where I had to win that game, otherwise I could fall, and I did fall. Right, came right back up because I was tier two champ. But anyways, obviously the trades helped you to survive, and again, we'll talk about that in the storyline. Here's where things get a little bit interesting, right? You're deciding to keep Keenan Allen. As you can see, I have unemployed there because he's not on a team, right? So the aging vet, I know you traded for him, but is this time now to look at a guy like Darnell Mooney? I'm just looking at Sleeper right now, projected to get 9.21 week one, right? I mean, obviously you can buy your time, see if Keenan Allen signs somewhere, but if he doesn't sign somewhere before the draft, that's a lot of risk for you to take, especially when we look at your pick scenario. You got Devontae Adams, the aging vet, as well. This is where it's interesting for you too, because you got three aging vets as keepers. You need to find a way to get younger. You did that with Sam Laporta, tight end keeper with Detroit, and obviously a great tight end. He's going to be top five, I think, probably for a while here in that tight end position. And going back to Devontae Adams, I do think he's going to have a good year in LA. Don't get me wrong. But and then looking at your IDP, you got Jamie and Sherwood. Other options are Blake Cashman, of course, Patrick Queen. So you do have some starting middle linebackers there to choose from. You also have Buda Baker in the safety hole as well. So obviously there is options for you there, and it looks like you've landed on Sherwood, which obviously starting middle linebacker numbers. Looking at the draft pick scenario, this is where things get interesting. You're in the spiral, right? We'll talk about it in the storylines, but you're in the survival spiral. You traded your round one to survive. You got Aaron Jones, not a great keeper, right? But no round one, no round three, no round eight. And I definitely feel that it is a bit of a survival year looking at your draft pick scenario and the keeper quality. And again, not really your fault, right? You took over a pretty crappy team. But if you want advice on the Survivor Spiral, talk to Danny and Billsy Bobs. You could talk to Chris and No More, who seems he just is about to get out of it. Danny as well. It took him years to get out of the Survival Spiral. Those would be two great guys to talk to about how they still were able to survive, just like you did last year. But we'll have to see where it puts you this year. The good news for you is there are other teams in the same draft pick scenario as you, and we've already previewed a few of them earlier this year. Subotica Spartans comes to mind, Susie and Fighting Geese, Storm, Mother Tucker. So there's other teams that are obviously in that scenario as well with you. Looking at your rounds 11 to 20, no round 12 as well. So, I think you are a good drafter. You know what you're doing, right? I think you know your fantasy. So I do feel that, you might have the ability to still draft okay and find a way to win. And we'll talk about in your storyline one advantage I think that you have over maybe Geese, Mother Tucker, Sabotica Spartans, and others. Um, when we get to the storylines. But going around 21 to 29 here, obviously 8 picks in the last 4 rounds of the draft is not an ideal situation, right? So, I mean, I don't have to tell you any different. Obviously, you know what's going on. Interesting thing of note, though, you do pick 4 times in a row in those rounds. So, round 26 and 27, you pick 4 picks in a row. 28 to 29, 4 picks in a row. That's crazy. 8 of the 29 picks you will be making will be last in those last 4 rounds, and again you'll pick 4 times in a row. So interesting to see what you do there, right? Maybe you just say screw it, I'm gonna ignore the DB hole the whole entire draft, or the DL hole, and I'm gonna pick 4 late in the draft and just see what's there, right? I mean, you just never know if there is any other one positions that you have to probably think about not adding right away. It's probably more the IDPs, right? I mean, obviously your offensive guys, if you don't have a guy that has no chance of playing, you're not getting any points, right? But there's always a guy to pick up on defense. Looking at your likely first pick, well, again, you're picking in the second round, right? So you're picking late here, 40th pick. I think you're going to go best available, and the best available doesn't look good according to Sleeper. you'd be landing around Rashad Bateman, Adam Thielen, or Tucker Kraft, just to kind of put things into perspective for you, Aiden. So, yeah, going to be a tough year, I think. Some of the other teams featured did have a first round pick to be able to add that keeper quality to that rookie that we need desperately when we're in the survival spiral, right? If you look at Billsy Bubs, he got Jamar Chase. Pretty sure he drafted him. You tell me different, Danny, if you're watching this one. But, and you got to find a way to do the same. And there it is for you, the storylines. Touched on it already. Definitely a survival year for you, I feel. You're in one of the worst draft pick scenarios as well as mediocre keeper scenario as well. You're in the survival spiral, I feel, right? And you basically committed to the survival spiral last year when you traded for Aaron Jones, and now you just got to find a way to hopefully win enough games without having to trade your draft picks away, right? All you need, Hayden, is just one full year where you have your full complement of picks, and I think you're the type of guy that can get out of the spiral, right? But of course, if you're desperate late before the deadline, sometimes you have to make those trades, right? And that's what makes the LOC so unique. Here is one advantage I think you have for you this year, and it's the fact that you're in a weak division. That American division, I think, is the weakest of the league. So I do think that you could probably squeeze a couple of wins out of some of the teams in that division. Definitely, I see a path for you next year as long as you don't drop in being one of the Canadian divisions next year. So we're definitely going to welcome you into the red and white. Which also, if you think about it, looking ahead, if I was you, unless my brother and myself, other teams in that division start, selling our draft picks this year, you're definitely going to want a full complement of picks next year because, I think that division is probably going to be just slightly tougher. Anyways, Hayden, I just want to say thanks again for everything that you've done for the LOC, for being a supporter of myself as a commish in fantasy here for you. And it's a pleasure having you in the league, man. So one of these days, maybe we'll meet face to face. We'll go for lunch. Have a good season, bro.